This is actually why most people aren't making sales, because they're focused on the wrong thing. You see, people love to buy. We love to buy things that make our life better. We love to buy things that solve our problems. We like to buy things that feel good to us. However, we hate the feeling of being sold to. And frankly, most sales training focus is on getting better at selling, when in fact this goes in diametric opposition to how people make purchasing decisions. Instead of focusing on how to sell better, we need to focus on how to create a compelling buying experience for our customers. And the foundation of that is the right questions that we're asking. So the 7 questions in particular go as follows. First, what hurts? We need to understand what pain a prospect is dealing with in their life that is motivating them to make a change in the first place. Now, ultimately, pain is 2 times a greater motivator than pleasure, meaning we are 2 times as likely to push to run away from pain as we are to move towards pleasure. So it is vital that we understand the pain that a prospect is in. We can also think about this as their current situation. Where are they at right now? Now, number 2 is, what do they want? So what is it that they are actually looking to achieve? What's the outcome they're looking for? For example, nobody wants a drill. They want a hole in the wall. And even further than that, they want a hole in the wall that holds a nail so that they can put a picture on the wall. So ultimately, what they want is the picture on the wall. Does it make sense? Drop a comment below if this is making sense. So again, we need to know what hurts and what do they want. Now, this is going to form the foundation of opening up what's called the gap. And the gap is where the money's made, because ultimately your product, your program, your service, etc., it's just a vehicle to get someone from where they are to where they want to be. The longer or the bigger the gap, the more someone will pay to actually take part in the vehicle. Let's just make it simple. If you want to go around the corner, it's free. You walk there. But if you want to go from Florida to California, chances are you're going to want to fly. It's a much bigger space, and so you'll pay $1,000+ for a plane ticket to get there. So the bigger the gap, the more someone is willing to pay to solve the problem. We need what hurts and what do you want. Then we also need a cost of inaction. What's the cost if nothing changes? Ultimately, it needs to feel worse. If for a prospect to stay where they're at, then the pain of seeing dollars leave the bank account and doing the hard work, for example, that may or may not be required in order to implement your program, product, or solution. So we need it to feel like it's going to be less painful to actually take an action that's uncomfortable and pay us than it would feel to stay in the current situation. So again, what's the cost if nothing changes? These are the 3 what questions. Now, let's move into the why questions. Why question number 1, why me? Now, we need in the prospect's mind for them to understand why we are a good potential solution, why our product is the right fit for them. Now, these questions don't necessarily need to be asked in this way, but they must be answered in the prospect's mind, because if I say it, you doubt it. But if you say it, you own it. Again, if I say it, you doubt it, but if you say it, you own it. So the whole purpose of these questions is for them to come to their own conclusion that they can then agree with, because if they say it, it's true. So why me? Out of all the potential things that you could do to solve this issue, what makes you think that we would be the right fit for you? Or what makes you think this product would be the right fit for you? What was it that attracted you to hop on a call like this with me today? What motivated you to reach out to us specifically? Right? These are just some examples of how you can seed that question. Then we need to understand why now. This is another anchor down to eliminate the delay objection that sabotages a ton of sales. We need to understand why this is important to them now. So we can, for example, say, now, John, I understand that this is really important to you, but maybe you can help me connect the dots. Why is this so important for you to solve now? What is it that has you looking for solutions to this problem right now, John? So that we can anchor down, again, eliminating the delay objection. Then we also need to understand, why is this so important to you? So for example, going back to, I want to go from Florida to California. Hey, California's got some great beaches, totally get that, but so does Florida. So maybe you can help me understand, why is it so important for you to get to California? Because here's the thing, a goal is fine, but we need the motivation behind the goal. This is what's ultimately going to compel action. Why is this so important to you to solve now? This is going to tee you up so much better to be able to close these sales. And then the last question, number 7, this is the sometimes why. Why have you not been able to solve this on your own? Or what has been in the way of having a solution up to now? What's kept you from being able to solve this on your own? Because ultimately what we want to do is break down and get rid of the,
well, maybe I'll try this on my own
objection. Because this is one that's pretty insidious. And if you give too much, for example, value on a call and you educate the prospect too much, then they can have the feeling of, well, I could just go solve this on my own. So we need to have a question that helps them to understand why it doesn't make sense for them to solve this on their own, why they should use you or your product, your service, to solve this issue. Now, let's recap. What hurts? What's the cost if nothing changes? What do you want? Why me? Why now? Why is this important to you? And what's kept you from being able to solve this on your own? The cool thing is the order is not actually all that important. You see, in the context of a natural conversation, the answers to these things can come up in a variety of different ways. So your job more as a sales rep is actually to be attuned to what answers are coming up. And then you, of course, want to think about it like a checkbox. As we go through the conversation, if certain key pieces are missed, we need to check them off by actually prompting with a question. Again, if I say it, you doubt it, but if you say it, you own it. So we need the proper questions. These questions have been responsible for tens of millions of dollars in sales. Do not sleep on this. I guarantee you, if you make a point of implementing these effectively on your calls, you're going to make a lot more sales. Now, there's a couple other components to this, right? Because once we have the answers to the right questions, we also need to understand how to put together a pitch that's compelling, because you could have done all the legwork correctly on the intel gathering stage of the call, but if you flop the pitch, they still won't buy. Or if you nail the pitch, but you don't know how to handle objections, they also won't buy. So here's the thing. What I suggest is next you take a look at the 3-step perfect presentation process in this video right here. It will help you out a ton in moving from the intel gathering stage to making a pitch that feels so good your prospects would feel stupid saying no.